Hi everyone, welcome to another video. In this one I'm going to be replacing the full engine wiring loom on Ed my SPI using this. That scares a lot of people because it's just a bunch of wires that have to fit into a compact engine bay, but I've had a few running issues. I'm not happy with some of the wiring, so I'm replacing a lot for a good peace of mind. I'm going to go over as much as I can to hopefully help someone out there who's having problems replacing it or thinking about doing it themselves. If you break it down into separate bits, it really isn't that scary and it isn't that bad. Different versions of the SPI, of course. This is an early SPI with two ECU plugs here and here. So around the 1991-1992, slightly differs as it goes on, but the majority of it is the same. So join me and see if we can get this transferred across and see if we can get a perfectly nice running Mini. So before I even look at replacing the new loom, I need to have a look at the old loom, document, that's what this is for, all the wiring, where it goes and in what order and in what layout. I'm going to obviously need to remove a few things while I'm doing this. All the injection unit, ECU, grill, just to get in, because this sits deep in the engine bay in that orientation. So that's it out. Initially I was going to leave the water hoses connected and leave the injection unit moved to the front, but it just wasn't leaving me enough room. This way I've got all this area to work for this loom here, what I will be replacing. Then comes back under here for this bit here, and then at the front. So it just gives me more space to work. And it's just a like for like replacement. The reason I had to take the injection unit out was because of these two here. This is the PTC heater and the water temperature sensor which goes underneath. So what I'm going to do, there's a few cable ties attaching to other wire looms. I'm going to cut them and I'm going to start getting the new loom in, and it's a like for like replacement. So there we are, all back together, ready for the startup. Fingers crossed, it's always a nervous time this. Miss one wire and you've got problems. So I'm going to let that run for a bit. I'm going to get the diagnostic on and have a look at some of the figures. So I fitted the new loom, hooked everything up, started the engine. How did it go? We'll have a look at this. And this. So you might have guessed it didn't go too well. Once I connected it up and tried to start it, I got no charging light on the dashboard. The other lights were fine, so I started it, terrible idle, really rough idle, connected the diagnostic app and it told me that I was 11.7 volts on the battery. Switched the engine off, that went to 12.7, so I knew there was a problem there. I hoped it was a bad earth or it was a rusty connection with one of the other multi-plugs that came off, so I checked all that, cleaned all that up, still it persisted. I then moved on to the multimeter, done some tests to see where I was getting voltage, where I wasn't, and after a good bit of testing I discovered there's a fault with the new wiring loom, which is kind of the worst case I was looking for because it meant I had to take the whole loom back out again. Which meant taking the injection system off again. So yeah, basically the wire, the brown wire with a yellow trace that goes from the small terminal on the alternator all the way up to a multi-plug in the dashboard, then to the light, to the charging light, was faulty. There was no voltage getting from that wire to the alternator. However, I was getting voltage on the loom that exists in here, so that's where it lay. So I tried a bypass wire and I tried the old loom, and yeah, everything works except for the new wiring loom. Now, had it been a bit cheaper, or had it been a bit older, I would have unravelled that wire, found the fault and fixed the wire. But the wiring loom isn't cheap. It's £180, so I decided, no, it'll come back out, it'll get sent back, and I'll get a replacement loom because I want this car to be spot on. So for now, until the new wiring loom comes, this is to be continued.